point right now where I can't tell if my eyes are unfocused or if the camera's unfocused. So hopefully this video goes well. Welcome back to my channel. If you've seen my past two videos, you know that I'm kind of doing like a very mini application series on like the cultural exchange program run by Disney. The reason it's very mini is because I didn't get to go because of Corona, as I say all the time. So I won't talk about that too much in this video because I talk about it all the time in the other ones. But that is the reason as to why I'm only doing about the application. But as I got accepted, I thought, you know what, maybe I have some tips that are helpful, and here we are. So this is the final kind of one that I wanted to do because I was only going to do 3 anyway, just on the like the online application, the pre-screens and the final interview. And funnily enough, the final interview is the last stage. So assuming that your pre-screens went well with Yummy Jobs, you'll be invited to a final interview with Disney themselves. This is not in Epping, where the Yummy Jobs pre-screen was. It is actually in Hammersmith in London, which is obviously a lot more central to London. It is with the Disney headquarters and the Disney international recruiters who fly over from America to meet you in London. So it is, I wouldn't say it's a bigger deal than pre-screens, because obviously pre-screens are how they get you there, but it is quite a big deal. You do go through like a bag check at security in Disney. It's pretty intense. It's a pretty insane thing. If you've never been to Disney headquarters before, which I'm sure most people haven't, I hadn't, it is insane. There's like life-size Captain America statues, life-size Iron Man, there's a huge life-size like Diamante Mickey Mouse. I can't even explain it. It's just pretty insane. There's tons of like memorabilia from all these other Disney films around the office. We only got to go into like one small area as well. I'm sure the whole place is even more insane. The process is pretty much like once you get accepted, Yummy Jobs will send you an email. Then you get to choose like a time slot for what suits you best at the Disney headquarters. I can't remember. I think mine was in the afternoon, or it was in the morning. No, mine was in the morning because I stayed over in London. Is it Gatwick? I stayed over in London anyway at one of the Premier Inns, and I had to get up quite early to get a tube into the town. I had to get a tube quite early to get into Hammersmith. I cannot remember what line it was. And after my last failed attempt at describing the tube lines in the last video, I'm just not even going to bother this time. It's a pretty big place. It's kind of hard to find at first because there's 2 entrances and they only want you to go in one entrance. And I don't think it's the entrance that's on Google Maps. It might be, but I can't remember. But I ended up meeting some of the girls beforehand, and then
nice to be appreciated.
Okay. And then we all headed over together. It is a very nice building. So we kind of went in. They give you like a lanyard with your name on it just as you check in. And you actually get to keep the lanyard. You don't get to keep the wee thing that has your name on it, I think just for security reasons. But this was the this is the lanyard. That is not going to focus, I think. It just says like Walt Disney Company. And it's really cute. And I use it to keep my keys on. Because what else would I use it for these days? Unlike the pre-screens, it is a one-to-one interview. So your one-to-one interview, it is with the Disney recruiter. It's probably kind of shorter. I was only in for maybe like 5-10 minutes tops, I'd say. I think 10 minutes is even pushing it. It was definitely closer to 5. And they basically ask you quite a lot of the questions that Yummy Jobs ask you, but it's individual purposed. So for example, I had quite a lot. We just fired through questions. So it was like, what are your top 3 roles? Why are they your top 3 roles? What experience do you have? I'd worked in America the summer previous, so they were like, why did you work there? How did you find it? What makes you want to do it again? Why do you think you'd be good? Do you like children? If someone was out of stock, what would you do with this? If you were a character performer, because I said I wanted to be, that was one of my top 3 roles. They were like, have you ever done that before? How would you cope with the heat in the costume? How would you cope with guests who are pestering you? How would you cope if you have an angry guest? How would you cope if you have all these other things? So that was like kind of the basis of the questions. They're all very straightforward. I'm sure you can find a whole list of them online. I can't remember every single question I was asked, but the other one they had me do was they measured me like for my height. Natalie from Yummy Jobs did that, actually measured me to see my height. And then just for the character performer side, because they only take people on very specific heights. So I think I had Sue, who's like the international recruiter. She actually has an Instagram that I think is like International Recruiter Sue. I'm not 100% sure, but Sue was lovely. They were all really lovely. Varied for different people. We had Natalie from Yummy Jobs came downstairs to get us from the reception and take us up. But apparently other groups of people just on different days had like Disney members of staff take them upstairs, so I think that's just one of those things that really depends. But it was a very nice environment, and it was unlike Yummy Jobs. They don't waste time. It's very much like you're in, you're out, see you later, have a nice day, and then you hand your pass back to security because they obviously don't want you coming in and out of a building you don't even work in. It was a lot more, I'd say it was a lot more scarier because it wasn't like Yummy Jobs. When you go in, it's like a small office, everyone's kind of chatting away, there's a lot of you there, there's a wee presentation. Disney, they didn't waste time with that. It was very much like you went in, you spoke very briefly to people, and you just got sent straight into the interview. It wasn't really, here's a presentation, here's a wee laugh. It was very much like, why do you want the job? Tell us why you're good for the job. Which was quite interesting to me. One of the other things that I got kind of, I wouldn't say grilled on, but I got asked quite a lot about was that I am studying law at university, and they were like, how would your degree relate to your future career? Or how would this job like coincide with your degree? And I was like, well, I don't want to do law, so my degree has really nothing to do with how I want to do the job. And they were like, yeah, that's fair enough. It's a bit of a weird one, me not wanting to do anything to do with my degree. I keep thinking there's like a white square on my camera around my head, but it's just the TV. This video is definitely a lot shorter than the other two because I feel like there's not much you can really touch on when it comes to the final interviews. So I stayed the night in like a private inn in Hammersmith. In fact, I didn't even stay in the Hammersmith one. I stayed at an airport one just because I could. But it is in Hammersmith, so I didn't want to be late. And I feel like it's very... Yummy Jobs are maybe a bit more lenient if you're late, I'd say, but Disney, I really did not want to be late. The attire for Disney was definitely come professionally dressed. It wasn't smart casual, it was professional. And I'm glad it did because when you go in, it's a very impressive office. But I'll put a photo of the big Mickey statue just here. It was pretty impressive. I feel like most people get a photo of it. I don't know whether they enjoy you doing that, but I was like, oh, I was like, someone take a photo. I absolutely loved it. I know that if you're alumni, if you've done the Disney program before, you don't get to go to final interviews, you just get a phone call, I believe. Not 100% sure, I'm not Disney alumni. Yeah, so we got to go because we've done a Yummy Jobs program, not a Disney program, so that's a little bit confusing. Yeah, there's not really much you can say about the final interview that doesn't really coincide with the pre-screens, because I'd say the same sort of things, like don't be late, I would say don't talk over people, but technically it's one-to-one interview, so you wouldn't really be able to talk over anyone. Like, don't talk over the interviewer, obviously, but you'd assume that people wouldn't do that anyway. The timeline of it is it's kind of like early November time, you tend to have like your final interview, and then you find out like mid-November. I'm pretty sure we found out maybe 2 weeks later on, because I was in work, and my phone, I started getting messages from like all the people who had done the Universal program with, who had applied and had got final interviews as well. And I was like, why are all these people messaging me at the same time? Like, bit strange. And then I was like, oh my god, it'll be whether we've got in or not. And I was sitting in work and I was like, I need to check my phone. Luckily, I was able to check my phone at work and had a quick look, and I had got it, but I don't know why I even opened the email in work, because if I hadn't got it, I would have started crying, and I was literally only like an hour into my shift. Could you imagine if I'd started crying at the start of that shift? It wouldn't have ended. It would have been so tragic, and everyone would have been like, why is she crying? But anyway, it doesn't matter because I got it. Even though I couldn't go, so at least I didn't cry in work anyway. I cried when it got cancelled, but that's not the point. I don't want to say it's a huge waiting game, because you actually probably wait longer between your application and finding out if you've got a pre-screen than you do like the rest of the process, but it always feels like longer because the stakes kind of get a bit higher as it goes. I feel like a lot of people, once you get to final interviews, you're either, I don't say you're guaranteed to get it, but you're more likely to get the program than you were be just at pre-screens, if that makes sense, because pre-screens is probably where they do the biggest cut of people. I don't know the exact numbers because they don't tend to give you them, but I think sometimes it goes from like 600-700 people down to like 100-200 maybe. I'm not entirely sure the numbers, but pre-screens to final is the biggest cut. So pretty much if you've got a final, like I don't want to say you've definitely got it, but you do have a very, very high chance of getting it, which is pretty good. Unless you went to the interview and you're like, yeah, I hate Disney, I want to punch a child, like, obviously that's not going to help you, but that's not the point. Yes, this has been a lot shorter than the other two videos, which I think people who don't follow my channel for Disney are probably glad about, because they wouldn't have watched them anyway. But basically the final interviews are a lot more kind of simpler in a way, because it's very much like pre-screens but with just different people, I'd say. You do need to sign off like a proof of student status form, but that's not for the interview, but we just took it to the interview so Yummy Jobs could sign off on it, sort of thing. which was quite good. Well, I don't even know if you had to take it to the interview. I did anyway, just so they could sign off instead of me scanning it, because I don't have I did have a scanner, so I don't know. Do you know, I don't know why I did it, but I did it anyway. So if you're thinking about applying, just let me know in the comments, because I kind of like to talk to people about it, because my pals from home obviously aren't that interested. Which I don't blame them, obviously, like, it's not their kind of thing, but I do like to make Disney friends. So if anyone wants to message me and let me know what they're up to, if they're going to apply, if they're not going to apply, let me know. I'm very, very interested to see how applications work this year, if they even are happening. Obviously, coronavirus has thrown a spanner in the works for pretty much everything under the sun. And also with how cases in Orlando are going out, well, more so Florida than Orlando, to be fair. Orlando's actually not that bad in terms of the rest of Florida. But cases in Florida are obviously on the rise, whereas cases in the UK are on a significant drop. So it is kind of interesting. Whether or not these videos become virtually useless if they don't happen, I don't know. Whether or not they'll just be opening applications to everyone, or if they'll be offering spaces to people who were originally accepted like myself, who knows? Like I said in the previous videos, there's no point getting upset about what might be happening, what might not be happening when no one actually knows. So fingers crossed. Anyway, hopefully it will open, and people who are interested in applying and are watching this video and maybe have made it this far, probably won't have, get to apply. I feel like everyone should go through the experience. It was a very interesting, it was a very nice interview experience, especially as it goes over quite a lot. It goes over like a good 4 or 5 months sometimes, so it was interesting to make kind of new pals and stuff, even if you don't get it. Like, it's still nice to have those friends there. So fingers crossed that people do get to apply, and yeah, hopefully these videos will be somewhat useful to someone down the line, I guess. If you want more Disney videos, stay tuned. And by stay tuned, I mean maybe December, because I'm supposed to be going out for Christmas and New Year. Hopefully it's still going to happen. Obviously it might not happen for very valid reasons, but we shall see, and I'll catch up with you later. Bye!